existence and part of everything, like from you're born to you die. You really like have no logical goal, but you're still pursuing stuff, right? It's the will to power, and that's like what I really like. Whenever I, especially when I did that super heavy time when I did like 0.2 grams to my face, and I saw a helicopter at the end. I told you that story.
Yeah, no, that
was
like pretty intense, dude.
So hard that when I was peaking at the beginning, right when I
you must have been like almost unconscious at that point.
Yeah, and I remember though, like the start was like my pipe was like a dragonfly-like figure, but then I was put inside a mini.
Yeah, dude, I know, dude. I have seen that dragonfly thing with the pipe. I've seen that. It looks like it's looking at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude.
It looks like it's like glowing and looking at you, and it knows what you're doing, and you kind of feel guilty.
Dude, I gotta say that hella miss tripping. Oh, exactly. No, I'm thinking like I want to try to find a way of tripping this week.
Dude, are you just like spitting the NWO agenda? Because that's all you gotta do. You realize that, right? You just gotta go on the Huffington Post. Just cite foreign affairs. Like I read about 3 articles that were from foreign affairs, and I kept bringing up the CFR in my Latin American politics class.
Dude, I dominate my classes. You just have to cite the sources that they give you. Right now, we're going through the phase of democratization in the 80s and 90s, and how after all these authoritarian regimes have taken over, like they slowly, in different manners, led to democratization of a lot of Latin America, including like Peru, Chile, Argentina, Mexico.
You mean in like the late 80s?
Late 80s and 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
And
then it turned into but it was totally neoliberal, wasn't it?
And
all of it.
It's like finally in the 2000s where you get away from like the neoliberal agenda.
But then what is it? Isn't it kind of like neoconservative and still just more World Trade Organization dominated?
Well, neoconservatism is like a form of neoliberalism that happened in the United States.
You're right. That is really weird. It doesn't mean like a duality at all.
It's not actual liberal. Well, liberal, there's 2 meanings. There's like the new meaning now, which liberal means you're associated with left. But liberal once meant like the United States was a liberal democracy. So it's like, and it's just liberalism is like free market enterprise and democracy. And
that's the only proven thing that works to create a high standard of living. And what else are we here on the planet in an industrialized society to do?
That's what's funny about Latin America is that
Latin America is like I just realized that all the elections recently were all like very left leaning, except for Colombia and sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're totally right, dude. Exactly. But what I find interesting, it's really funny because a lot of the people, not everybody, but a lot of the people who like Latin American stuff in the politics department are total leftists. They love it because in a scenario, in one scenario, in some places developed through the private sector advancing, and then that led to sort of more democracy because there was development of a middle class. And that happened in some places in the world, but in Latin America it didn't because of the technocratic elite. And so that's like the area where like a lot of leftists like say, oh, socialism is going to come to its prime in this area. So that's why there's a lot of interest in that area. And I'm not saying like that that's the case with all.
They really think that South America as a continent is going to like become a competitor to China or India. You have to understand that there's no such thing as South America. It's all controlled by North America.
The history of it is total dependency theory stuff, where the U.S. like controlled tons of parts. I totally agree. But one thing is like in Argentina and Peru, like they nationalized their oil fields and things like that more recently. So they still have to like. I mean, of course, the CIA is all over all those countries, but nonetheless,
in 2012,
dude, I think what happened in 2012 is that the alien race. That's like super high form of matter of intelligence at this point. It's already like basically passed into the phase of like
total domination.
It's a universal stream of consciousness brain that goes through like all energy. And
it's so intelligent. It's already engulfed us, and we don't even realize we're part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it explains all these recent explosions of knowledge.
The city of Atlantis out of the water in 2012.
Oh, definitely, yeah. There's no way. There's no way that the ancient civilization that these prophecies are about is not going to actually resurface. There's no way that can happen. I I mean, these civilizations were like, when a civilization conquered another civilization, like the Romans conquered the Greeks, they destroyed their history, and they destroyed all their art, or stole it and destroyed all their history and all their texts and replaced them with their history. And the same thing could have happened to like so many advanced civilizations. Have you ever seen that Antikythera device? It was found off Greece, and it was an astronomical computer, but it was like from 3,000 years ago. It was like a really intricate working gear mechanism, but it could predict the planet's orbit really accurately. Just from seeing that, I really do think humans had developed the steam engine a long time ago, and then we never knew about it.
You know, I actually, in seriousness, I don't really believe in. One thing that's interesting to note in almost every civilization, or I should say, in most cultures, there is this idea of a previous paradise where things were better than before or more advanced, and that's why like the Romans and a lot of Europeans believed in Atlantis, coming from the Greeks and the Romans, and in like different cultures.
The Hindu Vedas talk about giant like nuclear UFO fights.
But I mean, I kind of think ancient knowledge that has been lost, but I don't believe any sort of like super advanced ancient culture. That was
I know. I just wish there really was, and we could just find some book and just skip ahead like 1,000 years.
That there's suppression of knowledge, and that the Illuminati, or what is called the Illuminati, which is just like a certain kind of ideological league, that they have ancient knowledge that they keep for themselves, and some of that ancient knowledge I know because
angels and demons.
It's not even, the ancient knowledge is not even necessarily like technological. It's just it's like this ancient wisdom.
Yeah, it's like magic. It's like, when you see Jim Cramer on TV telling people that the Bavarian Illuminati is a good thing.
This is AIG, Goldman, and you know what? The Bavarian Illuminati, the Trilateral Commission, Goldman Sachs, and the Queen of England are not all bad.
Wow.
That Bernanke's doing everything right. So listen, call me suicidal. I think Geithner's doing a great job.
To be able to have pieces of paper that are magic and actually work and have value that is not real.
What saying
it's an illusion.
He's basically arguing, and the whole thing was taught, he was defending Geithner. He's basically saying, well, without these guys, everything would have collapsed. And it's like, yeah, you left out the part where they like steal tons of money and they screw people over, and then they like intentionally give hella money to Goldman Sachs but try to conceal it. And Jim Cramer works for Goldman Sachs, so of course he's just covering their ass and being a fat douche. Nobody actually believes Jim Cramer.
I know, he's just like trying to. Yeah, when he went on the Daily Show, Jon Stewart, like for some reason it felt like he was told to like scold him.
Yeah, he's a Goldman Sachs shill. So it's like Goldman Sachs has infiltrated the media. They've infiltrated all these different places. They get their guys. They just support the status quo. They support the guys who are screwing everybody and looting the treasury and supporting the banking system where there's $1.5 quadrillion dollars.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. There's about like 100. At least 100, but maybe 1,000 times more derivatives than there are actual value on the Earth. So, I mean, maybe if we find a bunch of minerals on Mars, it'll take care of the inflation. And maybe they'll send a robot out to do that in the next 5 years, and the problem will be solved. But they better do that, or else it's too much money, fake money. But we could go to Mars, and we could find a whole nother Earth, but that still wouldn't solve the problem. We'd have to find something like 100 Earths with all the minerals, and we have to create civilizations on them or industry.
Particularly this next 11 months, dude. I think we're totally at the day of reckoning, and I went.
Oh yeah, no. I think that there's going to be like. I think that the network television is going to be so bad that all this season's shows are just going to be so awful that I don't know if a lot of Americans will be able to support Obama anymore.
Yeah, dude. Well, what I mean is, that's hella funny. But I mean, yeah. What I was gonna say is that so you have Bankergate comes out, right? Geithner, people figure out these guys are total slimy thugs, and then Obama, people are figuring out he's a puppet. His approval ratings are gonna be permanently bad, and then on top, and they're just gonna continue to go down. It's a day of reckoning. Like in all seriousness, I'll say this right now. The topic for our first recording will be the fact that we're reaching the day of reckoning. Will go through why. Because the Bankergate, Climategate, the combination of the push for like the robbery of the Treasury of the United States,